welcome everybody who's already connected. Thank you for being on time, much appreciated. We're gonna wait a little 2 minutes to give time for everybody to connect, and then we'll start. Thank you very much.
Okay, so good morning to everyone and good afternoon for those who are connected from Spain, and welcome to this webinar about clean technologies in Canada. We are recording the session as we told you, and thank you so much for being here. I'm Maria Luisa Rengifo from Spenda, the Andalusian Foreign Trade and Investment Company, and this webinar will start with Uxia, who will present you the speaker and the agenda.
Okay, thank you so much, Maria Luisa, and welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here with us today. As expected, we are here to talk about clean tech, but first of all, I would like to introduce you to our Canadian office. We are Carolina, the director of the Stenda Canada office. She's based in Montreal, and my name is Uxia, and I'm based in Toronto, and together we work as a team to cover the whole country. So do not hesitate to reach out to us if you need information about the market, or if you have a specific project to work on in the Canadian market. Our details will be provided at the end of the presentation. And so today we are here to talk about clean tech, and for that we have three fantastic speakers that will be guiding us through different areas of clean tech. So we will start with Barbara Swartzentruber. She is the executive director of the City of Guelph for smart cities, and they won a challenge for the Canadian government with a project that is focused on regenerative creating a regenerative food system and circular economy. After that, we will continue with David Sanguinetti. He is the VP of Technology at the Foresight Cleantech Accelerator, and he has a focus on commercialization of technologies and a wealth of experience working with industry in Canada. And we will wrap up the webinar with the participation of José Canjura. He is the team leader for the LCBA Canada, and this is a matchmaking platform to put in contact European, hopefully Andalusian suppliers with Canadian buyers. At the end, we will have the opportunity to open up the discussion. So prepare your questions, and I encourage you to post them on the chat. We will be gathering then and close the webinar with those remarks. So without further ado, I will leave you with Barbara. Barbara, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And thank you for inviting me today. I'm just getting the slides organized. Great. So I want to share with you the work that we're doing in Canada, in Ontario. We're two local governments, so the municipal level, won a nationwide Smart Cities Challenge a few years ago. And what we decided to focus on was opportunities to create a circular regional food system. And and what I want to do today is really talk to you about the work that's going on here. But I want to start with sharing what are the problems that we're trying to solve, because if you're interested in the clean tech sector and if you're doing work in that sector, what you really want to be doing is finding the existing problems that need to be solved within particular systems. So let me tell you a little bit about why we're doing what we're doing. Right now, our linear economic, and in particular our linear food system, which is really about taking, making, and ultimately throwing things away, consumes about 100 billion tons of materials a year and wastes over 90% of that. So think about all the virgin materials, think about the people's time, think about the lost economic opportunities. If we transform what we're doing to eliminate that waste and to think about how we reuse and regenerate the products and materials, we can actually cut about 75% of the greenhouse gas emissions. And a big part of that is really about our agri-food system. So our current linear food system, and here's where the problems are that I was speaking about, is one of the greatest contributors to GHGs on the planet. In Canada, and I think it holds true around the world, we waste about 30 to 40% of the food is lost from the farm to the plate. We have a crazy overabundance of food in some cases, yet 3 billion people are food insecure. And in our area, 1 in 8, and we're a fairly wealthy area, fairly affluent. 1 in 8 households are food insecure. And of course, the food system is a major source of plastic waste and so on. So many opportunities to innovate in this space. And if you think about the Sustainable Development Goals, really the food system touches on all 17 of these goals. And we really think it's a keystone system in the sense that if you create change here, you really have tremendous power to reshape the world and to address some of the many issues that we're facing. So in our community, we brought the entire community together. We have over 150 organizations, a number of unique collaborations between data and tech experts and our people working in environmental areas, in social areas, and so on, all thinking about how can we redesign our regional food system. What we've created is really a urban rural living lab. We have a population of around, between the city and the county, around 250,000 people, and some rich agricultural farmland, some lots of environmental and clean tech businesses. And what we're trying to do is bring all of those people together to learn and experiment and to figure out what the art of the possible is moving forward to transform some of the waste and eliminate GHGs within our food system. So we have, you won't be able to read all of these things, but just to let you know, we have about 60 demonstration projects underway that involve many companies and organizations, all working together on addressing, sorting through how we can get people better access to healthy, nutritious food, how we can create more circular economy or circular businesses and collaborations, and how we can find more value from waste, and ultimately design waste out of the system. So what we've created in around the circular food system can be transferred to other sectors. So building sector, mining sector, textiles. There are so many opportunities to create circular systems within each of these major sectors in our economy. You can start to see some of our impact from the amount of individuals that now have better access to healthy food, to the reduction in GHG emissions, and to the value and new IP that we've been developing within our area. So I just want to hit on our 3 goals and give you some ideas of the work that we're doing. So we did a food environment assessment looking at all of our neighborhoods and understanding where people do or don't have access to healthy, nutritious food. And then we started to design some interventions like this new online platform that enables people to purchase groceries. So if one person purchases groceries at full price, that enables 3 people who are food insecure to purchase those groceries at over half the price. And this is an online platform, and the social sector, the food insecurity sector, really needs a lot of help from the tech and data community to really understand how to do their work more efficiently. So this online platform is enabling consumers or customers to purchase their food in a way that is uh, supporting social equity. We've done interesting work in urban agriculture. The opportunities around clean tech and vertical agriculture are tremendous. You may know about some of those, but how you grow food within urban systems is really something we need to continue to focus on worldwide as we see the impact of climate change. We're working with newcomers, growing culturally relevant and significant foods so that they are able to feel more engaged and less isolated within our community. We're working very hard on regenerative farming, lots of opportunities for clean tech in this space, thinking about how farmers can take care of the soil health, do their work in a way that is climate friendly and climate smart, the opportunities for remote sensing, for understanding how to access carbon markets that are starting to grow around the world, great opportunities here. In terms of circular businesses and collaborations, our goal is to help businesses to find more circular models. And we have a circular opportunity innovation launchpad that is providing opportunities for businesses to incubate, accelerate, to work together, to find ways to exchange materials, waste materials from one area, from one business to another. So the waste of one business can be an input actual for another business. And in that way, we create more sustainable supply chains. I just want to focus in on our collab process. We're working with teams of businesses, researchers, and industry to do demonstration projects about how do you change supply chains to make them more circular and to design out waste. We've been working with over 60 companies. We've leveraged opportunities for funding from both our federal government and from businesses, and we're now working to expand into the construction and demolition sector, renovation and demolition sector. But really what we've done is create a circular business ecosystem with learning supports, acceleration supports, access to data and technology experts. A big part of this work is ensuring that businesses and ideas as they develop receive support from a financial perspective. And that's not always easy. But what we've created is a social finance impact fund that creates better access to funding and financing from grants and loans. And this fund is now starting to support the kind of changes that we've been hoping to see within our area. I mentioned that we have a zero waste economic transformation lab. It's taking what we've learned in the food system, applying it to other sectors such as construction, renovation, and demolition waste. And we're learning how to create that circular change in those sectors as well. So waste is a resource. Big opportunities here. I'm just going to skip over that slide. To find new value from waste and to prevent waste in the first place. So technology-enabled single-use takeout containers that can be recycled are very important to changing plastics within the food system. The opportunities for Canadians to purchase upcycle products, so products that are made from what would have been considered waste in one system and are now upcycled into new ingredients. All of these things are projects that we are working on within our area. And I mentioned before resource exchange marketplace, sort of like an online Craigslist where if you've got waste from your production system, somebody else can potentially use that waste to create new products. One of the projects that we're working on with the city is adding artificial intelligence to our waste trucks. You can see in this picture that there's a camera that looks at the waste and identifies organic waste that could be diverted and go back to the land as compost and other materials that oftentimes gets thrown into the garbage truck along with other things. So this is a project that's using artificial intelligence and will be able to give us some feedback about how to work with households to change their behavior in the future. And finally, this is all about system change and local action. And a big part of that is using data and technology in order to guide our work and a number of tools and platforms around that. In particular, we have a data hub that identifies and hosts data sets from all of our partners across our communities so that we can access that data and build new products, services, and interventions. So it's really become a social movement here. We have a number of partners. I'm happy to answer any questions about this throughout the seminar this morning. And please get in touch with us if you have further interest in our work. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Barbara.
much. Mhm. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you so much. It was very insightful, and I'm sure that at the end of the presentation, we will have time to ask you some questions and continue the conversation. Right now, I would like to welcome David. Just as a reminder, he is the VP of Technology of the accelerator Foresight. They are focused on commercialization of innovations within the industry. And I would like to give you the floor.
Thank you very much. I will share my slides now. Okay. So yeah, hello everyone. As mentioned, my name is David Sanguinetti. I'm VP of Technology Adoption here at Foresight, and that really is the focus for me and my team, is helping industry and government adopt clean technologies. First, a little bit about Foresight and where we are. So I first have to acknowledge that we are seated in unceded territories of First Nation, Inuit, and Métis people across the country. Personally, I live and work in the area of the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish First Nations. So Foresight is Canada's clean tech accelerator. We are the largest clean tech accelerator in the country, and we do have people working across the country and support initiatives across the country. And it's important to acknowledge that we aren't just accelerating new ventures. If you want to get a new technology to market, you have to have a customer. Otherwise, you have a hobby, not a business. Any of you who are in business will appreciate that. And my personal focus is working on the adoption side, which is why I'm the one here speaking to you today. And we work in a number of areas. So there's acceleration programs. Those are conventional, traditional things that you'll find in an accelerator. We run a lot of innovation challenges, and that's working with industry, with government to identify their needs and bring in solutions to meet them. We also work on the bringing in funding, so capital attraction. We work on export development, so that's perhaps the reverse of what we're discussing today. This is working mostly to support Canadian companies to export their technologies, though we frequently do work with other companies doing the reverse. And most importantly, and why I really am here talking today, is ecosystem building, bringing all of us together to work collaboratively. And being the largest clean tech accelerator, we have had a bit of an impact. Here are some of the numbers we like to brag about. Important to note that we define clean tech very broadly. There are some people who are fairly narrowly focused. It's got to be waste reduction or greenhouse gas reduction, and we absolutely support companies doing that. But there's a lot of other pieces too that are really helpful ultimately to achieve the net zero economy that we all need to achieve, whether it's supply chain optimization or just gaining efficiencies in the market, and we do support anything that works in that direction as well. And on the acceleration side, we do work through the entire value chain. We work with people coming out of university with cool ideas. We work with established and existing ventures that have millions of dollars in sales. And we are also sector agnostic, so anything that touches on clean tech. And there's a list here of our nexts. So what are our nexts? These are sector focused initiatives because frequently, although collaboration across industry is very valuable and we do encourage that, really having small hubs, clusters, working in a particular area is really valuable and helps encourage industry to grow. So we've actually pulled together a number of them, and you can see them here. I think a lot of them are fairly obvious. AgriNext obviously is working in the agri-tech space. BioNext, so that's biocircular economy. I'm going to be talking about these ones on the top a little bit more. Based on my understanding of the economy in Andalusia, I have a sense, at least, that we're going to have a few companies on the call from the agri-tech and bioeconomy space. But if there are folks working in any of these other industries as well, we do have clusters focused on them and can introduce you to them. And I do want to emphasize our core values. This is what drives us. We are entrepreneurial. We may be the largest clean tech accelerator in Canada, but we're driven by a bunch of folks like myself who come out of the startup space. And we run Foresight like a startup. We're very lean, very entrepreneurial, and we help encourage that in the companies we work with. We are passionate about clean tech. We are transformational. We are really trying to drive change in the industry. And we are very, very strongly collaborative and connectors. We want to bring people together. Emphasizing here, a lot of people may have heard of a triple helix, and I don't want to be critical of that, but we do see that there are actually 5 key players to support a clean tech ecosystem. We have the innovators, we have industry, we have investors, we have government, and we have academia. And we do emphasize here, we need to bring all of these players, including investors. We need money in order to invest in new opportunities. And we need to separate the innovators away from industry because they have different roles to play in the ecosystem. And we work on supporting all of them. And you've heard me talk about collaboration. It really is the best way to enter a new market. And we have worked in the past to help companies, and we would love to help you too. So if you can identify the sector that you want to work in and talk to us about that and sort of what it is that you are interested in doing, we would love to introduce you to people in Canada working in a similar area who might want to collaborate with you. That's a lot of what we do in bringing people together. And I just want to highlight here, what goes on in Canada. So this is pulled from that great source of all knowledge, Wikipedia. So apologies if there are any errors here. But looking at where are the major industry sectors in Canada? So real estate, rental, leasing, that's the biggest part. And there's, I mean, if you know anything about um, emissions worldwide, there's a large fraction associated with buildings. And so that's where our Build Next sector is focused. We've got Water Next, we've got Carbon Next and Energy Next. Build Next shows up again. So it is by far the most significant. Power Next, providing power for the transportation system. And then at the bottom, AgriNext and BioNext. So you'll notice on the one hand, it's less than 2% of Canada's GDP. That doesn't mean it's not big. Canada is one of the largest economies in the world. We're up there with Spain, and it's a growing and thriving sector, and we do a lot of work there. And so that's what I want to focus in on a little bit here. So AgriNext, what's going on in AgriNext and what are some of the opportunities for you? So AgriNext, right now we do, not only are we focused on the agri-tech sector, we try to do themes for our cohorts to really build excitement about particular areas. So the current one is looking at soil health and nutrient management. And we've been looking specifically at some precision and digital ag tech technologies, companies with soil and crop amendments. Interestingly, we're working with a group in Ontario, IFAO, Innovative Farmers Association of Ontario. So these are your customers. And these are not just the average farmer. These are the farmers who particularly are interested in adopting new technologies, which obviously, if you are an innovative company and bringing new technologies, they're the folks you want to talk to. So we've been working with them to identify their needs, and these are some of the needs that they have identified. We're also working with them to identify other technologies, and actually this says other potential areas of focus. We have narrowed in that food waste reduction and supply chain management is going to be our next focus. And Barbara, we need to be talking to make sure that Guelph are incorporated in this one based on some of the cool projects that you've got on the go. But you can see here traceability, controlled environment. Sustainable protein is also coming in on this, but definitely a waste management focus as well. So now I'm going to switch over to BioNext. So this is looking, what do I mean? Bio can mean a lot of things to a lot of people, but in this case, this is looking specifically at the forestry and ag sector, not at the food side of it. So if you harvest grain and then you have some straw left over, that straw in our minds qualifies as a feedstock for the biocircular economy. Similarly, we're not talking about lumber per se, but everything else definitely feedstock for that biocircular economy. We've got another cohort coming up in BioNext in about 6 months. We provide a lot of support for ventures. We also do a lot of work trying to connect people across the bioeconomy. We recently did a big biocircular economy workshop. This is a really interesting area to work because it's got such complicated value chains. And we would love, if you're working in this space, to connect with you, because we're working hard across Canada trying to connect up the different players to make this industry really take off. And a lot of that requires, because it's such a complicated value chain, different people working together. And then the last one I want to talk a little bit about is Build Next. And this is simply because it's such a large part of the economy. And I know it's large here in Canada and around the world. So just here, a few numbers. It is 1/3 of the total solid waste in Canada comes from the built environment. And 39% of the global carbon emissions are associated with the built environment. So you may have some technologies associated with that. We'd love to talk to you. Quick example here of some of what we do. So this was a challenge that we ran recently. You may have heard in the news about the Kanaka Bar challenge. Most likely you heard about Lytton, small town that burnt to the ground in 20 minutes due to a forest fire caused in part by the heat dome. So horrible tragedy. Kanaka Bar is a First Nation that's literally just down the road from Lytton, and they embarked on a project to say, all right, if we're building back Lytton, let's do it in a sustainable fashion. Let's build housing that is resilient to forest fires, that's resilient to flooding, that is sustainable and affordable. And so we worked with a number of partners to run a really cool challenge, and this was open globally, and we had a number of submissions. I don't know, I think we might have had one from Spain. We had some from other places in Europe as well, and interesting applications from around the world. They are now embarking on building 4 duplexes, each one with a different envelope, and they're going to study them to see what is the most affordable, sustainable, and resilient house designed. And then they're going to share that across Canada and around the world as well. This is really important information as we build new houses, new infrastructure for our new economy. So that's a little bit about Foresight and clean tech in Canada broadly. This is what we're doing. We thrive on working with innovative companies from around the globe trying to bring people together. So love to talk to you. If you've got some ideas, if you're interested in exploring here, let us know and we'll try and make some connections for you. I will
Thank you so much,
stop
David.
sharing my slides now.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, David. I'm sure that a lot of companies are looking for creating these partnerships, and I thank you for leading us through all of what you're doing at the moment. Right now, I would like to introduce José Canjura. He is the team lead for the project LCBA, the matchmaking platform to connect European suppliers in Canadian buyers. He also has very cool opportunities to present for the Andalusian companies. Jose, I leave you the floor.
Thank you very much, Ushia. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Buen día. Let me just present my slides here. Okay, here we are. Okay, hi. I'm here to tell everyone a little more about the Low Carbon and Circular Economy Business Action in Canada project, LCBA Canada for short. We're funded by the European Union. We are a 3-year project. We're about halfway through our implementation. And I would like to tell you why we exist, how we support partnerships and opportunities between Canadian buyers and European suppliers. And then I'll tell you also about upcoming market opportunities. So the LCBA Canada is part of a larger program being implemented simultaneously across the Americas. So the LCBA Canada has 2 sister projects happening in Mexico and also in Latin America, focusing on Argentina, Brazil, Chile, and Colombia. The main objective of the program is to support the role of the private sector to decarbonize the economy and promote a circular economy transition. And we do this by identifying market opportunities and facilitating business collaboration between Canadian buyers and European innovators. So the work that we do supports the objectives of key European and global policies and strategies. For instance, the work that we do supports the EU climate change commitments to the Paris Agreement and the environmental and business priorities of the European Green Deal. But of course, since we're working with Canada, we also aim to support the climate objectives that Canada has in place. So for instance, the work that we do also supports the Canadian Net Zero Emissions Accountability Act objectives, just to mention one. And in terms of objectives, what we're aiming to accomplish. So one of the expectations of the project is that by August 2023, by the end of the project, we are expected to promote and support at least 32 business commercial transactions between Canadian buyers and European suppliers for an accumulated value of 32 million euros. We're also expected to help measure the net environmental impact of these transactions to corroborate the crucial role that the private sector plays in decarbonizing the economy. But aside from all these lofty goals, what are the direct benefits for European companies by collaborating with the LCBA Canada project? Well, for once, we provide access to pre-identified market opportunities in the Canadian market, and we use a challenge pitch approach to facilitate buyer-supplier engagement. We also provide targeted expert technical assistance support to help commercialization and ensure commercial results. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we also help matches to calculate the net environmental impact of their transactions, so they know they can quantify the benefits that they are providing. And so how do we do this? We use a challenge pitch methodology. And sorry if the words are too small, but let me just tell you how this challenge pitch methodology works. So first, we identify and engage potential Canadian buyers. We work with them to identify challenges or market opportunities. These are specific needs in the Canadian market that try to focus on needs that are currently not being met by local innovation. But we also we also look at opportunities that could benefit from additional European innovation. So once we identify a challenge, we validate this challenge. So it means that we look into the European cleantech ecosystem to ensure that solutions for this challenge do exist. And once we have this information, we launch a call for challenge applications, and we invite European companies, so European SMEs, small, mid caps, and mature startups, to apply to pitch their solution to one of our challenges. Then we once the application process closes, we select a long list of European companies and we provide this list to the Canadian buyer. And then we work with the Canadian buyer to select a short list of 3 to 5 companies that will be invited to pitch a solution to the challenge. And then we set up opportunities and conversations between the buyer and the European companies interested. And then the buyer will select a company or companies that they would like to continue having conversations with. And then the LCBA Canada project continues to support. And we work with the match towards a joint business concept, which is a non-binding memorandum of understanding. And then we provide technical assistance and ongoing support to help them arrive at a business deal. And we aim to do this 60 times. So this means that we aim to provide, during the lifetime of the project, 60 unique challenges or market opportunities. We have already provided 47 challenges, which we have brought to market in 3 different waves of challenges. And now we are preparing to launch our 4th and final wave of challenges. So more market opportunities are coming up very soon. So to tell you about the specific business opportunities and the sectors that we work with, first, let's remember that Canada is the 11th largest emitter of greenhouse gases and the 3rd highest greenhouse gas polluter per capita in OECD countries. So having this information, one of the first pieces of work we conducted in the project was to develop a market assessment to identify the highest emitting sectors in the Canadian economy. We did this because we believe that those sectors have the greatest incentive to adopt low carbon and circular economy solutions. And what you can see on the diagram here are the 7 sectors, 7 economic sectors that we work with. So we work with the agriculture, agri-food, and aquaculture sector. We work with buildings, real estate and infrastructure, electricity and energy, heavy industry, oil and gas, transportation, and waste. So in terms of specific market opportunities, this table here just illustrates some of the challenges, some of the market opportunities that we have already brought to market in each of the economic sectors that we work with. So as I mentioned, we brought out 47 challenges already to market, and we're working to develop at least 13 more that will be launched throughout the course of 2022. We aim to maintain a balanced portfolio of challenges. So that means that we aim to have equal representation of challenges in across all of these economic sectors. And let me now let me just share with you some highlights and achievements the project has achieved to date. So since the project started, we have identified and engaged, and we're currently working with more than 360 Canadian potential buyers. We've had 117 European companies that submitted applications for challenges presented in our first three waves. And of course, we continue to regularly update our market information on the 7 economic sectors. The LCBA Canada has a website, but we also have a B2B platform. And the objective of this platform is to facilitate communication between Canadian buyers, European suppliers, and other project stakeholders. So by May of this year, we had 387 users register, 190 of which come from the European Union. So we constantly communicate with our stakeholder network, and we identify European companies. We directly target them, and we provide information to more than 1,700 European companies. We directly inform them about challenge opportunities. We work with 95 European clusters and multipliers, just like our dear friends at Extenda, which help us bring information about our market opportunities to European companies. And as I mentioned, we already delivered 3 waves of challenges, which culminated in the 3 large challenge pitch events. We had 79 European companies that pitched solutions to these challenges, and these pitches resulted in 39 matches or 39 conversations currently working towards a business deal. Other benefits that the project provides is interesting information about the market, the Canadian market. So for instance, the project helps identify high potential buyers. And by that, we mean buyers who may have more than one challenge or may be interested in engaging more than one European solution. We're also facilitating collaboration among European companies. We have the case study of 2 European companies that met during our first wave of challenges, and now they've joined forces to develop an enhanced methane leak detection system. And also, we are gaining better understanding about the Canadian sectors where European supply is more impactful. And of course, we always continue to update our market information. So now, in terms of upcoming opportunities, so we have already delivered 3 waves of challenges. We're currently preparing to launch our 4th and last wave of challenges. We're also aiming to do things a little different. We're aiming to simplify the process and to accelerate the opportunities for conversations between buyers and suppliers. And so rather than waiting to have all challenges ready and launching them all at once, we are launching challenges as soon as they become available. So that means that the opportunities will be available on a rolling basis. As soon as a challenge is identified, it will be launched. Companies will have about 4 weeks to submit an application to pitch for a challenge, and then we will move to organize buyer-supplier conversations right away. So opportunities are ongoing, and they will all be posted on the LCBA Canada project website, and registration or application rather to pitch a solution to a challenge will be done through our B2B platform. So we encourage everyone to please register on the platform already, and this will also provide you with regular updates and information when the challenge opportunities become available. And since you're here, thank you for joining us today. You will be the first to know that we are about to launch our first challenge from this fourth wave. It will be launched this coming week, and it will be a challenge that will be seeking solutions to convert municipal solid waste into value-adding or cost-reducing products. So more information on this soon. And here you have all of the information that you need to get in touch with us. You can do it by email at info@lcbacanada.com. Here's also the link to our platform and to our project website. If you're also interested in exploring opportunities with LCBA Mexico or Latin America, the links are also provided here. And please follow us on Twitter or on LinkedIn. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jose.
Thank you
And
so
thank
much.
you for giving us the scope of the upcoming event.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much. So right now that we have concluded the three presentations by the speakers, I encourage you all to open your cameras, and we will open the floor for questions. The companies that are here present today, I haven't seen any questions on the chat yet, but if you have any questions, please, you can raise your hand and also open your mic to ask the question.
And if you ever want to ask the question in Spanish, that's great. We can translate.
For sure. Okay.
All right. Even though I really want to hear from the companies, I have a question, if possible.
I believe we have a
question. Lovely.
Yes, we do have a question from Nadia, and Blanca also raised her hand. Yeah. So, Blanca, go ahead, and then we answer the question from Nadia. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Lucia. And first of all, I would like to congratulate you for such an interesting webinar. So my question would be for David or Jose, who are both focused on clean tech as a big sector. So what would be your suggestions for any startup or corporate interested in navigating the clean tech vertical in Canada, besides, of course, connecting to Foresight? Is there any database in which you can find the main actors in the clean tech big sector in Canada? Thank you.
I can jump in there. So there are many actually, but it depends on where you want to go. So the like for water specifically, you can actually go to Foresight's website, and we've got a graphical sort of map that will help navigate that. So but if you're wanting to explore more broadly, then the Natural Resources Canada, NRCan, they have created a database of clean technology companies across the country, and it's not sort of available on a website, but if you go looking for Natural Resources Canada and reach out to them, then I believe it is publicly available, and they can share that information. Although I'd ask you, is there a specific sector that you're interested in, or I mean, clean tech is obviously very, very broad.
Thank you so much. I was more interested in the energy
Energy. Okay,
based
so you're
on
like renewable or
yes,
energy transition.
Energy transition. Yes.
Yeah, Natural Resources Canada has stuff, and if you're looking specifically for oil and gas transition, then CRIN, the Clean Resource Innovation Network, they have a publicly available database on their website of their member companies, which are a pretty good cross-section of the companies interested in, so this is primarily oil and gas transition, that's their focus, and they have, which includes geothermal and stuff like that, but they've got a good database. For wind, and I'm blanking on the name of it, both wind and solar have individual organizations that, industry associations effectively, that have websites which show their membership, I believe. So it's spread out, but that information is available. And if there are other specific areas inside energy sector, if you send me an email, I can send you, connect you up with appropriate folks.
Thank you so much.
I think that would be the one thing that I would add as well. So please get in contact with us via email if you like, and we'll be happy to share additional information, point you out towards some resources that we have identified, and yeah, happy to support.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Blanca. Blanca, for those of you who don't know, she is the Trade Commissioner for the Spanish Embassy here in Canada. So she's based in Ottawa as well. And we have another question coming from Nadia, and this is to the LCBA. Can any European Union SME apply, and what are the criteria to apply?
That is a great question, and absolutely. So we welcome all European SMEs, small mid-caps, and mature startups to consider, applying for the challenges that we present. There is, however, a minimum eligibility criteria for companies to be eligible to collaborate with the LCBA Canada project. So the company size is one of the requirements. We work with companies that have less than 500 employees and an annual turnover not exceeding 300 million euros. They have to be headquartered in one of the 27 European member states and possess majority corporate ownership by European nationals. As long as a company meets those criteria, they are welcome to benefit from support from the LCBA Canada project.
Great.
And by the way, for more information on this eligibility criteria, just visit our website. I will put the link on the chat where people can just take a look at this eligibility criteria.
Fantastic. So do we have more questions coming from the audience? Carolina?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So my question would be for the three of you, because I think the answers are going to be different but complementary. The whole clean tech sector, if I understand correctly, it's about changing the way we've been doing things to improve them. So there's a lot of change. And when we think about change, we think about, well, challenges, but not the one Jose is talking about, more on difficulties, situations that we have to overcome. I would be very curious to know what would be one of the biggest difficulties you have found in your processes and how you managed to overcome it. Thank you.
I can start if that's okay. I think one of the biggest challenges is you could have the best solution in the world, but if it doesn't fit within um, if it isn't able to be adopted by and accepted within the marketplace, if the change is too drastic or if it's too big or if it doesn't address a very specific community and market-based problem, then it is that is an obstacle. And so we try to work on supporting the consumer, the public, the citizen to adopt these opportunities, to accept these changes, to understand why and the goal of this kind of work and these kinds of solutions. And we think that that's very important. You have to have the demand side as well as the supply side to really create change.
Yeah,
If I could
bang on.
add to that, oh,
Okay,
David
go
would
ahead,
like to
Jose.
add. Just related to what Barb said, I think that one of the biggest challenges right now is just the current economic conditions, right? That probably started because of the pandemic, have just been not really improving. And so what we see is that this creates more risk aversion to adopting technologies. It just takes more time. There is, we find that we have to provide greater support, provide more time for those conversations to take place, for those conversations between buyers and potential innovators to work over the risk, over any kind of risk aversion. And so we see that there is always a possibility for transactions to take place, but it does take longer and a greater degree of conversation to build slightly more confidence.
Yeah, from Foresight's perspective, product market fit is absolutely critical, and I hate to say it, but if you have a technology or a product that doesn't have a buyer, you're not going to get very far. And that doesn't mean that you've got a bad idea. It may just need to be tweaked a little bit. And how do you figure that out? You spend a lot of time talking to customers, talking to, and whether those are individuals or companies or governments. You identify who your customers are and time talking to them. I can tell you for sure that there are some industries that are truly global, mining as one example, but even then, exactly how they do things on a mine site in Chile is different to a mine site in Canada. And you need to talk to people on the ground, understand exactly what their needs are, and adjust your product to suit. And that comes down to communication and collaboration, and that's very much the biggest challenge for people is if you've got a product that works well in one environment and you assume that it's going to work the same way in the next environment, and it doesn't. And it doesn't mean it won't work at all. It just means you have to adjust it, and the best way to figure that out is by talking to the customer.
Great, great recommendations on learnings. Does it answer your question, Carolina?
Oh, yes, thank you so much. And I think since this webinar is being recorded, we'll get to share all these insights with future Canadian, Andalusian companies, and Canadian, why not? Future Andalusian companies that would be interested on the subject. So it's super useful. Thank you very much.
Great. So we are right now at 10 a.m. Eastern Canadian time. We are on time to finish this webinar. I would like to thank everyone that was here, speakers and participants as well. And I encourage you all to continue this conversation after the webinar. We will be sharing, as Carolina mentioned, the this recording on our tool, Estenda TV. And also, we are available if you have any further questions and to get you in contact as well. With this note, thank you very much and have a good day.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye, all.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you for everyone who joined.